Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son. I grew up in a home with absolutely no God. The opposite. I was told there was no God. Nothing to live for other than money and status. Materials, if you had a big house, you were an important person. No matter how you obtained it. You know, I was taught to be tough. We don't cry. We certainly don't snitch. And as long as you followed those guidelines, you were A-okay in my household. I'm one of 7 boys, not brothers, but 7 boys lived under my roof. And it was tough. I became the black sheep very easily. I don't want to say I was talented, but I took orders and, pretty seriously from my grandfather. Stepping into the drugs and the criminal activity, it felt natural to me. I didn't have anybody to guide me, telling me that I was doing the wrong thing. I didn't believe the people at school were telling me I was falling in with the wrong crowd. My grades just tanked. I actually dropped out of high school at 16 years old, and I thought money was just the goal. That's all I wanted, and I heard a lot of people doing it. I would roll the dice with my life almost every day, whether it be using a drug or risking being incarcerated, indefinitely, or having somebody kill me. There are a lot of gang activity in Long Island. Where I was a murder almost every week, and life was painful, absolutely painful. And the worst part about it was I thought that was what it was intended to be. I was arrested in 2015, January of 2015, and I had about 10 years over my head with no one in sight. I was lonely, and I actually found myself in a cell in prison with just a Bible. A pamphlet, actually. It was about this thick, and it was pink. The pink Bible pamphlet. And I remember speaking to my father over the phone over and over again, I'm trying to stay busy, but this is the only thing I have to do. And he told me, read it. Even in the court process, God was with me. He court mandated me out of New York. I wasn't allowed to step foot there. And my probation officer, I believe, was also put in my life by God, made sure of that. Every single day she would call me and ask me to prove that I was in, Connecticut. After moving to Connecticut, I completely shut down. I would go to work, and I would come home and lock myself in my bedroom at my father's. The way I shut down was just unnatural. It was almost like someone siphoned the gas out of my tank, and I had no give. I couldn't even think of anything other than, how am I gonna get back to New York? And how am I gonna do it in a way where I don't mess up? How could I redo it? And I gotta get it right this time. So after probation, day one, I don't think there was an hour that passed. I packed my stuff up, I went back to Long Island. And 6 months I was there. And in 6 months, I did more damage than 10 years. I was like charged up. I was like, oh, no, blank slate. And the money came in again, and I was living on my high horse. I thought I had everything figured out. And I didn't realize that everyone around me was actually, praying. Like, something else has to happen, he's got to get out of here. I spent 2 years in Florida after moving to Granby, Connecticut. And me and my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife in Florida, attended Living Waters Church. And I loved it. I was forced there. I was dragged there, and I was bribed. And, I get there, and the pastor said, even if verbatim, even if, you were dragged here, it's on purpose. And then, I'm not paying attention, and then boom, it's like God cued the the person in the room that would grab my attention, which was someone covered in tattoos, head to toe. And there were some noticeable symbols on their body from gangs that I would, associate in New York. And I'm like, he doesn't belong here. I'm like, there's no way this is real. Like, this is set up, and he was wearing a t-shirt. I guess he was a motorcycle enthusiast. It said "Ride for Christ." And it was like a movie. And then I was like this, and I'm like, you got my attention. So I started thinking, I actually asked my stepmom afterward, I was like, was that a joke? And we were eating dinner, and she was pretty adamant about telling me it wasn't. She's like, no, this isn't a joke, and you could have this too, which I still didn't believe. Like, he got lucky, whatever. I only knew, from experience what some of those, guys did in their lives, but I was like, maybe he figured it out. I didn't think I could. I would say after Florida, I went through another depression where now I had a kid. I was married, I had a kid, and little by little, normality was, wanting to emerge in my relationship, because what woman doesn't want a normal marriage and a normal, upbringing of their kid? And all of my bad habits were coming out, So again, I felt alone, I was tormented, I was depressed, I basically had no emotions. And if I had them, I suppressed them. Over those years, it just got worse to the point where I begged God to help me in Vox Church. I absolutely begged him. I said, I give up. My way is never worked. I was listening. I was no longer slouched. I wasn't going home and turning that 60 minutes off. I was starting to study, Then I had this app. It's called Bible Verse. I would do those practices every day, and I would pray. I was feeling again. I think that's the most important part. I didn't realize it, but all those things I was feeling. So that all led up to the moment, the big moment, which was, wow, I don't know who I am. Because, if you compare the first half of my story to now researching the Bible, you're like conflicted. You're like, wow, is there two people living in here? Because how could I do this if this is how I feel? I'm reading passages and chapters and books in the Bible. I'm like, how could I have done this if this is truly how I feel? It was conflicting, and I remember telling my dad, I don't think I'm ever going to get this. And he told me, when it hits, it's going to be indescribable, emotional, and you'll know. So I would say 30 days after that conversation, it felt like an eternity, but then when it happened, it was like, wow, that really happened quick. That's when I had the conversation. I said, something tremendous is happening. And in that moment, I told him I kind of need to be alone right now. I think, I don't think this is something that I want to share with you. I felt like 100 pounds lighter. I started feeling the memories, and I was forgiving myself, like one by one, and it was a miracle. It was absolutely, I begged for that. On my knees sometimes, like just, whatever would make this pain stop, and it just vanished. It was like something just crawled in me and just ripped it out, and that was absolutely God. It was the best moment of my entire life. I was saved. I was finally safe. I had a tragedy happen just last week, roughly 10 days ago, in the exact town that I was just describing in New York. My cousin was murdered. And I thought when I heard the news that it might have been a triggering moment to bring me out of the light. And I've now realized that there's no doing that. A lot of my family's wondering why I'm so calm, and I'm not trying to track people down, or I'm not spewing garbage of violence, or I'm gonna get retaliated, anything like that. Who I am now is I'm actually praying for the 5 individuals that did it, that committed that heinous crime. Every night I pray for them. I hope they find God. I don't want anything bad to happen to them, and that would not be the case if I hadn't found Jesus. I believe God wants me to reach the outcasts, the black sheeps, the people sitting in a corner begging for their pain to go away. They just don't know what's gonna make it go away. I didn't know, and I've gained something that I need to give away. People need to know. You don't need to feel like that. God doesn't want you to feel like that. There is an absolute way out, and it's the only way. There is nothing else.